I'm Jennifer Rendand. I've been teaching in Indiana for, this will be my 6th year, starting this past August. But this past year I have been more of an administrative role. I teach half day and then I am a test coordinator for the other part of the day.
I'm going to just jump in here before we get to the interview questions. I'm not from Lafayette. I should have asked you this the other day. You said you work at the Excel School. Could you explain to me what that is exactly?
Yes, absolutely. The Excel Center is actually new to Lafayette. It's a school, it's a charter school that is non-for-profit for adults only who've never earned their high school diploma. So it's all centered around the theme of second chances. It's a legitimate program. Students will earn their Core 40 Indiana high school diploma, so they actually have to take the ECAs, sit through classes with teachers, have homework, read books, the whole deal.
What's your normal age?
Well, our popular demographic, honestly, is still relatively young at 18 to 26.
Okay.
Our oldest student, though, was 81.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That is
Yeah.
awesome.
It was really interesting. It was fun to watch her navigate a computer. She had never done that before. So, yeah, we have a wide variety, obviously, of age groups, ability levels, and then as Karen and I discussed yesterday, a majority of the population do have 504s and accommodations.
So, Cindy, can we start again with you to start on the interview questions?
Okay. What experience do you have working with individuals with disabilities?
I have a ton of experience. First of all, as an instructor in the public school system, I've certainly been a part of inclusion classes with special ed teachers. We've done a lot of team teaching that way, so we've learned from each other as a core instructor and then as a special ed instructor. And so that has been my primary role for 5 years, I guess, including making sure that I, as an instructor, am meeting my IEP accommodations at the traditional high school level. So definitely not a stranger to the IEP, to the case conference, to making sure students are having their accommodations met. But as lead teacher at the Excel Center, I'm working a lot more with students with disabilities of all different kinds, different handicaps, if it's a reading disability, if it's a behavior problem or issue. These are things I deal with on a regular basis every single day, but this is the demographic I love to work with. I think they're truly special to work with too, because I learn more from them usually than they learn from me, so so I have a lot of experience with that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
List any other education or training relevant to the position.
I think relative to this position, if I'm not mistaken, it will be a lot of test coordination. So my whole last year with the Excel Center will really aid me in this transition. Not only do I have to schedule all of the testing at the Excel Center, so that is the end of course assessments, acuity testing, the AccuPlacer, and there's a few other ones. The Scholastic Reading Inventory goes on, it feels like. So I keep kind of a revolving calendar of just all the test deadlines. But I have to not only schedule all those exams and organize them, but I also have to train the entire staff on how to proctor the tests, how to make sure accommodations are being met. And then during the actual testing days, I sort of am the manager of all the testing areas. So I wouldn't necessarily say I proctor them, but I do pop into every room and make sure everyone's following protocol, make sure people are off their cell phones, enforcing the policies of the test. So I definitely have experience, I feel, for this position that would at least make the transition smoother. Not saying I'd be an expert right away, but I sure would try.
Thank you.
Can I just ask how many tests are you typically maybe managing at like one time? Like what would be your maximum number?
Do you mean students taking the test? Or probably, gosh, our largest testing group was probably 40, and that would include an algebra test going on simultaneously with an English test in a different room, And then also we would have small rooms for learners who need a test read aloud to them and things like that. So probably about 40 to 45 students at once. And then as the lead teacher, I would also then volunteer to stay at night and accommodate any night students we have for the evening classes. So I would do all of that by myself.
Okay. And then my actual question I'm supposed to ask you is, why are you planning to leave your current position?
I've certainly had a lot of fun in my current position. I've learned a lot. I do want to backpedal a minute, and I actually didn't get to talk with Karen about this yesterday. For a brief period of time when I was initially hired at Excel in August, I was hired on as the test coordinator, but we had lost our special ed coordinator, so they asked me to take both positions on. And I did not have to teach at all, but I had to do both of those leadership roles. So I also have special ed experience being the special education coordinator at Excel, but it was only for 2 or 3 months, and I had a lot of help. But to go back to your question, I've been looking to transition out of education for probably the last year, which is why I took on this administrative role at Excel Center. There's always going to be parts of me that misses working with high school students, that age group, but I'm also earning my master's degree right now in communication, so not pursuing an education or master's in education, so it's something just trying to move out of and try something new. It's been a dream of mine to work for Purdue. I went to Purdue as an undergraduate. Now I'm a graduate student at Purdue in the evening. Purdue is just sort of synonymous with success, so it would be a great opportunity. I'd be really, really grateful for it.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, what experience do you have working with a large population of students, clients, or a large caseload?
Sure, I have plenty of experience there. My background, I actually started teaching in an urban setting. It was a very large school in Marion, Indiana. And that was my first year of teaching, and it scared me to death. So I then moved, I transitioned over to another administrative role. I was offered an English department head position at North White School Corporation. Does anyone know anything about North White?
I know a little bit
It's
about
really
it.
tiny. Yeah, it's in Monon, Indiana. So it's if you drive through it and you blink, you miss the town. There's not even a post office there. But I was the department chair, the English department chair there. The school only served about 300 to 400 students in the high school. But then I moved over to Lafayette Jeff. After a few years driving to Monon every day, I felt so bad for my little car, so I had to find a position closer to home. So I moved to Lafayette, worked at Lafayette Jefferson, which obviously serves a very large population. And currently, as lead teacher, I also help so the Excel Center is really unique. Instead of high school counselors, they have what are called life coaches. Just kind of help students remove any barriers between them and learning. So if they need help with housing or paying rent or things like that, then life coaches will help set that up. So as lead teacher, I also am paired with every coach throughout the day, and I'm supposed to help manage their caseload. So really, I'm responsible for 320 students every day at the Excel Center right now.
I would say that you just answered the next question.
So sorry.
Please describe your day-to-day customer service experience, skills, and abilities. So I guess you can speak to the customer service end of that.
Absolutely. Customer service. Students certainly are customers sometimes, aren't they? We have to always make sure they're being pleased on some level. I do a lot of housekeeping, I think, when it comes to making sure things are, making sure accommodations are being met, making sure teachers understand their calendar, what their deadlines are. I check my emails every day, answer voicemail every day, and then I attend a lot of meetings every day, so I'm no stranger to meetings. So a lot of those, in my opinion, are more clerical customer service tasks. Does that kind of answer your question? And I do handle those things every single day. They're a pretty regulated part of my work day.
So, sorry, I jumped. Susie, did you ask a question, right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Have you ever recognized a problem before your boss or others in an organization, and how did you handle it?
That's a great question. Gosh, I feel like I put out fires all the time, you know? Actually, a funny story, I literally put out a fire last week at work. Someone threw out their cigarette and it lit a bunch of mulch on fire, so, but, yeah. But yeah, I do. I'm a big picture thinker. I mean, especially being a teacher, you always have to think backwards planning, you know, a final exam to the first day of class. What do I need to start with to have this end result? So I'm a big picture type of girl. So I do foresee a lot of problems happening with when you're managing a staff, especially at the Excel Center. A lot of my coworkers have never had a job before. Most of them are fresh out of college, and I'm not saying I'm an expert, but it gives me just some kind of advantage. So one example would be we have kind of an orientation to invite all new students to at the Excel Center, and they just get a tour of the building and learn about the nitty-gritty, the rules and regulations of the school. I was looking at the master calendar for where all of the groups are supposed to be at certain times, and I noticed that the timing didn't quite match up. One of the groups had a session that kind of bled into another session they were supposed to be in, and that was on a back side of the calendar. So I didn't call attention to the error right away, but I did talk to the woman who was in charge of making the calendar and asked her if I was just seeing things or if I was being crazy, and I pointed out the error, and she said, oh my goodness, you know, trying to balance 30 staff members and 120 new students coming in. Yeah, I overlooked this, so I'll make sure this gets rectified. And it was really simple to fix, but it could have been a disaster if it wasn't seen, you know, we would have people doubled up in different rooms, so.